Hi guys, this is O-Level Chemistry, paper 11, June 2016, question 1. Which oxide is amphoteric? Okay, so Al2O3. Al2O3 is an amphoteric oxide, which means it would react with both acids as well as bases. CO2, carbon dioxide, is acidic in nature. Na2O is basic in nature, and SO2 is again acidic in nature. So the correct option for this question is option A. Question 2. Four gas jars each contain one of the gases ammonia, chlorine, hydrogen chloride, and oxygen. A strip of damp blue litmus paper and a strip of damp red litmus paper are placed in each jar. In which jar will both the damp blue litmus paper and the damp red litmus paper change color? Okay, so if ammonia is present, the blue litmus paper will stay as it is, and the red litmus paper will turn blue. So red litmus paper will change color, blue will not. If chlorine is present, the red litmus paper will get bleached, and blue litmus paper will first turn red and will then get bleached. With hydrogen chloride, the blue litmus paper will turn red, and the red litmus paper will stay as it is. And with oxygen, the red litmus paper will stay as it is, and the blue litmus paper will stay as it is because oxygen is neither acidic nor basic. So the only gas that changes the color of both the litmus paper is chlorine, making option B the correct option for this question. Question 3. How can a pure sample of barium sulfate be obtained from barium carbonate? So now we have barium sulfate, which is an insoluble salt, and we have barium carbonate, which is also an insoluble salt. So the only way we can have barium sulfate formed from barium carbonate is by reacting barium carbonate with sulfuric acid, so that the carbonate is given off as CO2 and barium ions bind to sulfate ions forming barium sulfate. So dissolve it in dilute hydrochloric acid, yes, and dilute sulfuric acid, yes, filter, yes, and crystallize, no. Barium sulfate is not a soluble salt that it needs crystallization. So, and the reason why we added to hydrochloric acid first is in order to convert the barium ions into soluble barium chloride ions. So, first we convert the barium carbonate, which is insoluble, into solid barium chloride. CO2 will be given off, and sulfate ions will bind to barium to form barium sulfate on addition of sulfuric acid. Okay, next, dissolve it in dilute hydrochloric acid. Yes, barium chloride is formed. Add dilute sulfuric acid. Yes, barium sulfate is formed. Filter, yes, and then wash the residue because barium sulfate is the residue. So all the options here are correct. In B, dissolve it in water, it will not dissolve. Add sulfuric acid, yes. Filter, yes. Crystallize, no. Not a soluble salt. Next, dissolve in water, no. Add sulfuric acid, yes. Filter, yes. Wash, yes. So the only one with all available options correct here is B, making option B the correct option for this question. Question 4. Which statement is not correct? Energy is released when a liquid changes into a solid. This statement is correct. Particles move faster in the gaseous state than they do in the liquid state. This is also true because gases have a higher temperature than their liquid form. The carbon atoms in gaseous methane are further apart than those in solid diamond. Yes, atoms in a gas are further apart than atoms in a solid. There is a large decrease in the volume of a solid metal when pressure is applied to it. There is no change. The decrease would be in the volume of a gas. There is no change in the volume of a solid. So this statement is incorrect, making option D the correct option for this question. Question 5. The symbol for two ions are shown. F minus and Na positive. Which statement is correct? The fluoride ion contains one more electron than the sodium ion. The sodium ion contains more neutrons than the fluoride ion. The two ions contain the same number of electrons as each other. The two ions contain the same number of protons as each other. So we need to calculate the number of electrons, protons, and neutrons for both of these ions. So the number of electrons in fluoride ion is 9 plus 1, 10, because it has a negative charge. The number of protons is 9 and the number of neutrons is 19 minus 9, which is equal to 10. For sodium, the number of electrons is 11 minus 1 because there is a positive charge, so 10 electrons, and then 21 minus 11, which gives us 10 neutrons and 11 protons because that is the proton number. So now let's go over the available options again. The fluoride ion contains more electrons than the sodium ion. Fluoride has 10, sodium has 10. So this statement is incorrect. The sodium ion contains more neutrons than fluoride. Neutrons in sodium is 10, neutrons in fluoride is 10. This statement is also incorrect. The two ions contain the same number of electrons as each other. Both have 10, so this statement is correct. And the last one, the two ions contain the same number of protons as each other. Fluoride has 9, sodium has 11. So this is also wrong. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option C. Question 6. Which dot and cross diagram showing all the outer shell electrons of each atom is not correct? So H2, each hydrogen has one electron only, so this is correct. HCl, hydrogen has one electron and chlorine has 7 electrons in its outermost shell. So 6 electrons are not being shown in the structure. For oxygen, there are 6 electrons, so 2, 4, 6, 6 crosses, and for carbon there are 4 electrons, so 4 dots. So all electrons have been shown, and in methane 4 electrons for carbon and 1 electron each for hydrogen, which is also shown. So the only structure in which the outer electrons are not completely displayed is HCl, making option B the correct option for this question. Question 7. Which statement shows that graphite and diamond are different forms of the same element carbon? Both graphite and diamond have giant molecular structures. Yes, both of them have giant molecular structure, but this does not show that they are all structures of carbon. Complete combustion of equal masses of graphite and diamond produces equal masses of carbon dioxide and no other products. Yes, this does show that they are both forms, allotropic forms of carbon, because if any other element was present, then its oxide would also have been produced. But since only carbon dioxide is being produced, that means both of them are only made up of carbon. Graphite and diamond have different melting points. This is true, but does not explain why they are both made of carbon, or as if they are both made of carbon. Graphite conducts electricity, yes, whereas diamond does not. Again, these are properties of graphite and diamond, not their composition. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option B. Question 8. In order to form a compound with oxygen, an atom of a group 2 element must. So it's forming an ionic compound. So it must transfer 2 electrons to an atom of oxygen. Yes, it will form cations. So group 2 metal would be M. It would form M2 positive and O would form O2 negative. And the ionic compound would be called MO. M stands for metal of group 2. Okay, receive 2 electrons from an atom of oxygen. No, oxygen does not undergo oxidation and metals do not undergo reduction. Share 2 electrons with an atom of oxygen. Covalent compounds do not form between oxygen and group 2 metals. Bond with 2 atoms of oxygen. No, it will bond with 1 atom of oxygen because oxygen has a charge of -2 and the metal ion will have a charge of +2 in order to attain a stable noble gas configuration. So the correct option for this question is option A. Question 9. Copper wire is used to complete an electrical circuit. What happens in the copper wire? Electrons move along the wire to the negative terminal. Positive ions stay in position. Electrons, when they flow, they will move towards the positive terminal, not the negative terminal, because negative charges will be attracted towards the positive terminal. So this statement is incorrect. Electrons move along the wire to the positive terminal. Yes. Positive ions move. No, positive ions will stay in their position. They will not move. Next, electrons move along the wire to the positive terminal. Yes, positive ions stay in position. Correct. Negative ions move along the wire to the positive terminal. Negative ions do not flow. Electrons will flow. So this is also incorrect. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option C. Question 10. Which uses of sulfuric acid are correct? As a bleach in the manufacture of wood pulp for paper, this is the use of sulfur dioxide, not sulfuric acid. As a food preservative in tinned foods, also use of sulfur dioxide. As a raw material in the manufacture of detergents, this is the role of sulfuric acid. As a fertilizer, this is the role of ammonium sulfate or other ammonium salts, not sulfuric acid. Since the third use is the only one that is for sulfuric acid, the correct option for this question is option D.